watching Tyreek Hill is so difficult because it's like you're really good at football, but also you beat children. So. Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm your host, John Camacho, and this is the Week 9 reaction video. Before we get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please follow me on Twitter for all of my football thoughts that come randomly to me throughout the day. I love to post that on Twitter. Also, I write at least one article a week that I put on my website, betweenthepylons.com, so check that out as well. We're going to jump right into this. So right off the bat, I just want to get these teams out of the way because they are not worth talking about too long. The Redskins at the Bills. Bills beat the Redskins 28-3, go up to 6-2. Redskins suck. Bills are pretty good. That's all we need to talk about there. Jets, Dolphins. Dolphins get their first win. That was awesome for me as a Dolphins fan, but I doubt anybody else cares about that game. Jets and Dolphins are both 1-7, and they are both dumpster fires. And then last but not least, the Broncos, Browns, both really bad football teams. I've been talking all year about how it's so shocking the Browns are bad, but at this point it's like they're just bad. It's not shocking anymore. They're just bad. They lost again to the Broncos 19-24. Nothing else to say there. Let's move on to London, where the Texans played the Jaguars. The Texans ran over the Jaguars 26-3, and it's crazy because this is usually the Jaguars' field. I mean, it was a home game for the Jaguars that they moved to London, but the Jaguars play in London every year, and they're usually pretty good. They have a pretty good record. So I thought this game was kind of a slam dunk for the Jaguars. I was wrong. Texans dominated this game. Not going to lie, didn't get to see any of it because I don't have NFL Network, and this is 2 times that I've woken up really much earlier than I wanted to try and watch a game that I wasn't able to watch. So it is what it is. Fool me once. This is the fool me twice, so I have no excuse. I'm stupid. Jaguars are going to go into their bye 4-5. This might be the end of Gardner Minshew as a starter, which hurts me to say because I have been pounding the table for him to stay the starter once Nick Foles is ready to come back. But everything I'm seeing points to Nick Foles still playing. I hope that doesn't end up being the case. I hope Gardner Minshew gets to start because I think he has a lot of good things going for him. This game really isn't a good reflection. But I mean, the dude's he's never been to London. The team's been to London a lot, but he's never been. You go, across the pond. You play in a different country, and yeah, I mean, there's jet lag. There's a lot of stuff. He wasn't on his game though. I want to make excuses, but I'm not going to. He wasn't on his game. Didn't play very well, and we'll probably end up seeing Nick Foles in week 10, week 11. And that is what it is. And on the other side of that, Texans are rolling right now. 6-3. They are now at the top of their division because the Colts lost this week. And Deshaun Watson is amazing. It's crazy because, this Texans team reminds me so much of the Packers of the past, 5 years, where the Packers were so good because of Aaron Rodgers. And I felt for years that McCarthy was kind of holding that team back with a bad scheme. Not that the Packers really weren't able to bring in a running game for Aaron Rodgers ever. They weren't able to give Aaron Rodgers a defense for the longest time. And, Aaron Rodgers brought this team to the playoffs, or brought the Packers to the playoffs every single year. And, it seemed like they would get pretty close, and they would always lose in the playoffs, and it would kind of be a cycle. And then we saw that cycle kind of end when McCarthy was fired last year. They're bringing LaFleur, and they lost this week, surprisingly so. We'll get to that later. But for the most part, it seems like they're turning a corner as a team and as a franchise. I see kind of a similar situation happening with the Texans. The Texans are probably going to make the playoffs this year. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl. They're just not. They're not good enough to beat the Patriots. They're not good enough to beat probably the Ravens or the Chiefs, in my opinion. They're going to lose in the first or second round of the playoffs, and it's going to be kind of a disappointment. I feel like that's going to be a cycle because Deshaun Watson, yes, he has DeAndre Hopkins, who's awesome. That's great. but he doesn't really have a run, offensive line. And I know they traded all those picks for Tunsil. Well, yeah, you got one guy, but there's 5 guys on offensive line, and now you don't have your top picks to maybe build that up. J.J. Watt's out for the rest of this season. If he comes back next year, great. But he's still, an aging superstar who's not the same guy. That defense is not good. It's not elite by any means. It has some pieces, yeah, here and there it can be okay, but as a unit, it's nothing special. I can say the same thing about their run game. I can say the same thing about their receivers outside of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm nervous for Hopkins or for Watson. The way I'm seeing this team go, I feel like Watson's going to be carrying not only the team, he's supposed to do that, but also the coach and the front office, and the front office is kind of in a weird situation. So we'll see how that plays out. But especially the coach, Billy O'Brien, who I'm on record not believing in. I feel like Watson's going to carry Billy O'Brien to having a longer career in Houston than maybe he deserves to because of how good Watson is. Almost too good for his own good, if that makes any sense. And I'm sorry if I just offended a lot of fans from multiple fan bases, but that's how I see it. Let's move on to the Chiefs and Vikings game. This was an awesome game, came down to the wire, and the Chiefs were able to pull one out on the leg of Buckner, making a couple clutch kicks at the end of the game. They won this without Patrick Mahomes. This is probably going to be the last game that he misses. I saw a stat today that the reason he didn't play, not because Mahomes wanted to play, but they were talking about how the chance of re-injury was significantly higher within the first 21 days. This game happened on day 17. So next week, that chance of re-injury goes down to like 10-15%, and they're going to feel a lot more comfortable playing Mahomes next week, I feel like. So I would be shocked if that isn't the last game. Obviously, knock on wood if you're a Chiefs fan, but Mahomes should play the rest of the season. He should play next week. And, Chiefs went 1-1 without him, and it worked out well because it wasn't an easy schedule. Vikings, very well could have won this game. I felt like they kind of came out throwing the ball a lot more than they needed to. Like I've been saying for weeks that the Vikings aren't winning because they're the Vikings aren't winning because Kirk Cousins is amazing. He's good. He's not terrible. But they're not winning because of that. They're winning because Dalvin Cook is amazing. And it's all about Dalvin Cook at times. And in this game, especially the beginning, just getting things started, they weren't utilizing him as much as I maybe thought they should have. Other than that, I said in the intro, Tyreek Hill killed it. It's amazing the amount of skill he has. There was a play where the running back, Damian Williams, breaks off a huge run, and Tyreek Hill runs past the defender trying to catch up with Damian Williams, catches up to Damian Williams, and guides him into the end zone for no reason. Like, he didn't need to. He's just so much faster than everybody else on the field that he genuinely looks like what it would be if I was playing soccer with a bunch of 10-year-olds. Like, just gliding past them like it's nothing. Which probably wouldn't even be that because I would bumble around a little bit because I'm not that athletic. Other than that, Chris Jones was a huge piece for the Chiefs. They got him back in the interior of that defense, and I really felt like it changed the entire defense. The Chiefs' defense is quietly played 3 pretty good games. Yes, they struggled against the Packers, but a lot of teams are going to struggle against the Packers, but they held in there. They were able to keep that game close. I understand that it's the Denver Broncos, but they absolutely destroyed the Denver Broncos defensively. They kept Denver under, I believe, 10 points. And then this game, they played a very good game. Keeping the Vikings offense to 23 points is incredibly impressive, and it really goes out to what the Chiefs are really starting to do. And I've been critical at times for the way they play defense, but I really liked the way they were able to step up with Mahomes being out, with that star player being missing on that offense, they were able to complement the offense enough to win a game, and they were in that game last week. So very impressive what the Chiefs were able to do, and it's going to be even more exciting to see what they can do with Mahomes. Hopefully that level of play doesn't go back to what we saw at the beginning of the year when it just was not very good at all. And then on the other side of the ball, Vikings 6-3, still in this. They're still going to be the good thing for them is the Packers lost this week too, so they're still one game out of the top of the division. It didn't hurt. This loss didn't hurt them as bad as it could have if the Packers would have pulled away from the Chargers, which again we'll talk about that later. And it does snap the 4-game win streak, and I think it was Kirk Cousins played okay. He didn't have any huge mistakes, but I am curious to see. He had a great month. He had a great month of October, and now we're into November. And it's like, all right, are we going to see a different Kirk? Because we saw a terrible Kirk in September. October was awesome, and now November is here, and it was a little shaky yesterday. It really was. So we're gonna see how it goes moving forward. I'm very interested to see how this Vikings team plays the rest of the year. Next up, we have the Bears and the Eagles. I'm going to kind of keep this quick because the Bears did very Bears thing. They kind of got beat in the first half. The Eagles absolutely controlled that game. And then, the defense for the Bears was able to kind of keep them in it, keep it a little bit close as far as, not letting the Eagles come out to this massive lead. And then, Trubisky in that offense had less than 50 yards at the half. They come out in the second half and they caught a couple breaks, and David Montgomery was able to get in the end zone twice. But this was an Eagles win, and this is exactly how the Eagles want to win. They want to get ahead. They want to run the ball. This is the blueprint for the Eagles to win, and we're seeing it over the past 2 weeks. This is exactly what they did to the Bills, and this is exactly what they did to the Bears. And they're kind of similar teams. The Bills have a much better offense than the Bears do right now. But as far as having an elite defense and an offense that maybe isn't quite as good, we know now the Eagles are set up to beat that type of team because they've done it over the past 2 weeks. Very impressive with the Eagles' run game, no question about it. Miles Sanders, who I was greatly questioning at the beginning of the season with how he was going to be able to succeed as a running back in this league, I was really questioning him. He's come out and he's kind of proved me wrong a little bit. Howard is still the number one back there. He's killing it, and he played very well against his old team. And this was a kind of a gritty game for the Eagles. It wasn't pretty. It's not something to write home about, but the Eagles were able to get away with a win. They're at 5-4 right now, and they're looking okay. Like they're gonna fight to win this division. We're gonna see what happens tonight with the Cowboys and the Giants. If the Giants can somehow win that game, the Eagles are going to be looking really good in this division race, and they're right there in it. Let's move on to one of the games that I thought was a lock of the week. I had the Colts beating the Steelers in this game. I was kind of shocked at the line. It was a pick'em, and I thought the Colts were easily going to win this game over the Steelers. I was wrong. I don't think it was helped that Jacoby Brissett gets hurt after throwing, I believe, 5 throws and got hurt on his only incompletion of the game. But nevertheless, the Colts lose on a shanked kick from Adam Vinatieri, which it was laces out, and that's just heartbreaking. If you're, a fan of the Colts, it's heartbreaking to see. You don't want to lose like that. And having Vinatieri, you see that kick, and you're like, okay, well, this is it no matter what. Vinatieri doesn't miss this kick. Well, he did. And the Steelers go to 4-4 in the most improbable 3-game winning streak that I think I've ever seen. I guess it's not that improbable. They beat the Chargers, Dolphins, and now Colts. But from the way they started, how bad Rudolph was looking to how he's not looking great, but at least he's managing the game a little bit better than he was. To losing Rudolph to getting him back, this team has gone through a lot in the first 8 weeks of the season, 9 weeks of the season, and they've come out at 500, and it's anybody's guess what can happen now. I mean, they're in contention for a wild card spot, and that is not something I think anybody would be saying, 4 weeks ago. Which I don't believe they're going to do that, but I mean, the AFC is kind of weak. The Steelers have proven that they can win with a good defense and an offense that, kind of just gets by. Like, there's nothing special about that offense, but they can do enough to put enough points, and hopefully, today Minkah Fitzpatrick gets a 96-yard interception return for a touchdown, and that's the game. And if the Steelers can have that kind of production of their defense every week, yeah, they're going to be fine. Obviously, I don't expect that, but, we'll see. As far as the Colts go, Brissett has an MCL injury, which is incredibly scary for a team that I'm so excited to watch every Sunday. I really love watching the Colts. Marlon Mack is awesome. They didn't have T.Y. Hilton out this week, but, Pascal and their rookie, I'm blanking on his name right now, they were really, really good. Paris Campbell, excuse me. Paris Campbell played well. Pascal played well, who I'd never heard of until the start of the season, which maybe shows my ignorance, but I didn't know about him. But he's been playing really well. This team is so much fun to watch. The way they call plays, the way they run their offense is really fun. And losing Brissett, you lose a big piece of that. And I hope to see him back soon, because I think this Colts team can really make a run. I really do. It was unfortunate the way they lost this game, but they are a really good team. And I believe they're going to be a pain in the ass for a lot of teams down the stretch. All right, we're going to move to the Titans and the Panthers, and this game was the most easy to predict game that ever could have happened in any NFL game. I mean, the Titans did exactly what you would expect the Titans to do. They played okay on defense and okay on offense, and they had a couple splash plays and a couple, dumbfounded plays, and you're wondering 1 second, like, how is this team not better? And in the next second, you're like, God, this team sucks. It is incredibly frustrating watching the Titans. And then on the other side of the ball, you have the Panthers, who, their entire game plan is play solid defense and get the ball to your playmakers on offense, and that's exactly what they did. McCaffrey comes out with another big game, 166 total yards. That's through the air and pass, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this dude's unstoppable. If he is not in the conversation for MVP, I don't understand what's wrong with the media, the NFL, and any of it. I don't care that he's not a quarterback. This dude is killing it every single week, and he absolutely should be in the MVP conversation at the very least. DJ Moore, 7 receptions, 101 yards. Curtis Samuel had a big game. On the other side of the ball, A.J. Brown is kind of becoming that number 1 guy for the Titans, although he did have a costly tip that caused an interception that really swayed the game at the beginning of this game. But the Panthers come out ahead. They win 30-20 in a game that, I mean, they really controlled the entire time. You never once felt like they were gonna lose this game, and they didn't. It was kind of textbook. It was insane how textbook this game really was. The Panthers, I mean, they're pretty much moving forward. They're 5-3 right now. They're pretty much guaranteed to be 8-8. They have the Falcons twice, and they get to play the Redskins, so they're set there. And then the rest of their schedule, they have the Packers, Saints twice, Seahawks, and Colts. If they can win a couple of those games, I mean, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're in a great position right now to make a run. They really are. And Kyle Allen, it looks like he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future now. They're already talking about Cam going to the IR, which could end his season. And this team, it's not something that I don't think anybody could have been talking about 8, 9, 10 weeks ago, thinking that Kyle Allen could, pretty much start the entire season and lead this team to the playoffs. But I mean, that's where we're looking. That's a real possibility. Especially when expect this when Will Greer was a 3rd-round pick and he was the assumed backup for this team. Absolutely crazy the way this team has turned out, and it's worked out for the better. And we will move on to the Lions and Raiders. the Raiders come out ahead of the Lions, beating them 31-24, surviving a fourth quarter comeback surge from the Lions where they're on the goal line. Matthew Stafford, fourth down, the game's on the line, and they throw it to their third string tight end. And he doesn't catch it, and game's over. It's crazy because, one of the notes that I wrote for this game was how great this wide receiver duo is. I mean, Marvin Jones Jr. and Kenny Galladay are a legit duo in this league, and it's crazy because they've been together for a while, and they're just now finally becoming like, oh shit, this team is a legit passing team. This team is putting up numbers, and it's Matthew Stafford. He's having one of the best statistical careers of his life, and I understand they're 3-4-1. This doesn't feel like a 3-4-1 team. Like, I understand their running game is almost non-existent. Their defense is, completely dependent on the scheme, from week to week. If Patricia can draw up a good scheme and, beat the offense, that way, then it's great. And if not, they don't really have the guys to do what I think they want to do on any given play. But they'll get there. I think that's kind of that's going to take a couple of years, I feel like, to really get to the point of where Matt Patricia probably wants to be. But I see them trending in the right direction. This team, I understand they're not great. They're 3-4-1. They're not gonna win a lot of games this year. But they're really exciting to watch. Like, this is the most exciting 3-win team in the NFL right now. I can guarantee you that. And every week I talk about them. It's like, oh, I know they lost or they won a close one or whatever the situation is any given week. I'm constantly like, man, this team is better than the record shows. And again, this team's better than the record shows. And it's crazy because they play the Raiders, who I've pretty much been saying the exact same thing about. This team's better than what the record shows. And I was really excited for this game, and it did not disappoint. The Raiders and the Lions came all out, and they played really, really well. The Raiders depended on Josh Jacobs, exactly how you would expect. Josh Jacobs had a great game, running for, I believe, over 120 yards on over 20 carries. Played really, really well. Derek Carr is playing out of his mind right now. It reminds me of a couple years ago when they had that insane run, and then Derek Carr breaks his leg right before the playoffs. He's playing at that level, which is awesome to see. This team's clicking. It really is. And it's crazy because, I mean, at the beginning of the season, we're all looking around and we're like, hey, how much longer is this whole, how much longer is this whole Gruden experiment going to work out? Because this ain't looking too hot. And, we're 8 weeks in. They're 4-4. And I get it. That's probably not where you want to be. But, I mean, I was saying the same thing about the Steelers, that they have a shot. They're 4-4. This is not over. Like, the wild card is absolutely still in play for this team. And, yeah, they have kind of a tougher road because they do have to play the Chiefs. And, I think they have a little bit of harder schedule than some other teams that are in a very similar situation. But they're right there in it. And they can win this game. Or they can win this wild card spot. And I don't think they can do a lot with it, but it's cool to see the amount of progress that they've made in such a short amount of time. As far as any other notes that I have on this game, other than the buffoonery of a call on fourth down, you have to have a better do or die call on the goal line. It's just insane to me. Like there's got to be. It kills me how many, just in general, not just talking about the Lions, but in general, how many calls that I see on fourth down. And it's like I'm not judging the play call, I'm not judging the decision. You want to go for it. I very rarely will criticize a coach or a team for going for it or taking chances. I'll criticize you for not taking the chances, but I'm pretty on the side of, hey, like, play to win, which in this isn't that situation at all. But they had to go for 4 to win the game. But you're in that situation. You plan for the situation, and that's the play call. Really, you don't even have, like, I'm talking about their duos. Like these guys are some of the top receivers in the league right now. Big, tall, end zone guys that they're built to catch jump balls and catch these 50-50 balls. but you throw a jump ball to your third string tight end. That's just dumb to me. I don't know. Matt Stafford's too good to call a rollout there where you're cutting the field in half. There's a lot of issues with that, and maybe it's not fair to question a decision after it's happened, because if that catches bait and they go to overtime, I'm not thinking about it one way or the other. I wouldn't be questioning it. So I'll stop there. Let's move on to the Bucks and the Seahawks. The Seahawks win in overtime over the Buccaneers, and this game was exactly what you would want if you're a Bucks fan. Like, you want a high flying, Mike Evans game where they're just throwing the ball down the field, throwing, and you think you're going to come out ahead. And this is the second time that I can remember where it was a true shootout. Like, it was back and forth the entire game. Great game to watch. And they kind of lost in the final seconds. This is the second time, first time happening to the Giants with Daniel Jones and that missed field goal debacle and all that. The beginning of the season pretty much. And now Seahawks come out ahead in a game that I feel like a lot of people were worried was kind of a trap game for the Seahawks. It's really good that they won this game. They came out ahead. They get the coin flip. They go right down the field and score a touchdown, and that was that. Man, Russell Wilson's awesome. This team, you say Seahawks and you think, oh, this is a running team. They're a run-first mentality and all that. Why? Why? I don't understand. I understand you had to do it a couple years ago because you didn't have an offensive line. Well, this offensive line can pass protect now. I mean, it's not perfect, but you don't need it to be perfect. You just need a little bit of time for Russell Wilson to make some plays. I don't understand why this offense isn't 100% sold and throwing. Chris Carson's great. He's really, really good running back. I have him in 2 fantasy leagues, so it would not help me at all if the Seahawks suddenly decided to not be a running team. But that feels like the best way they can win, right? Like, that's what this game became. And Russell Wilson threw for 376 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, when do you not want that? And I understand that's the Bucs defense. That's not going to happen every week. But, I mean, this team, they're about to get Josh Gordon. So DK Metcalf is a grown-ass man who is throwing DBs around left and right. Tyler Lockett is, amazing. I don't know how any other way to say it. He's completely taken that Doug Baldwin role, and nobody's talking about Doug Baldwin anymore because Tyler Lockett just became that guy for Russell, and he's grown in that position perfectly. They have I was gonna say they have a tight end, but they lost their tight end. Russell Wilson is on an MVP caliber season on a team that would prefer to run than pass. It's crazy. That's insane to me. But who am I? They're winning. They're making it happen. This team is 7-2 and they're rolling. The season gets a lot tougher for the Seahawks, so they need Russell Wilson to be on their game. They need Chris Carson. They need this team to be doing this offense, especially to be performing at the highest level, because the defense is not going to bail them out like it used to. This defense is it has points of good play, and it's pretty much on the front end. Like if Jadeveon Clowney can get home, or if that front four can wreak some havoc, it's great. The back end, there's not a lot behind Shaquille. It's just not. Their DBs are not really good right now, and it's an issue. They're getting burned by teams that are like this Bucs team has a great passing attack. So I'm not saying just for this game, but they've been getting burned all season. So they need to make some changes. I don't know. They need to make some changes. I think this should be the formula for the Seahawks to win. Like, they've proven they can win close games. Just air it out and say, hey, we're going to score more points than you. I really feel like that's what they should do. And they'd feel like they'd be able to do that to a lot of really good teams. And then moving to the other side of the ball, the Bucs, they're 2-6. I mean, that's just what they have been. They're a really exciting 2-6 team. They have moments, but it's still Jameis Winston. Like, this was good Jameis Winston, and it wasn't enough. But, next week he's going to throw 4 picks and fumble 5 times, and throw 7 touchdowns at the same time. Like it's just a crapshoot with him, and that's what this team is pretty much. All right, let's talk about Packers and Chargers. The Packers got their ass whooped by the LA Chargers. Chargers controlled this game beginning to end. The final score is 26-11, but I mean the game wasn't even that close. Packers could do nothing offensively against this Chargers defense, especially Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa just getting home and absolutely wreaking havoc. They weren't able to get the run game going for the Packers. This is a team that has the league average in pass to run splits, and I mean they were not as evenly balanced as they have been for the past first half of the season. This team, I mean, it was 442 yards to 184 yards. That is an insane split when the team that had less than 200 yards has Aaron Rodgers on their roster, and the team that had 442 yards has a aging Phillip Rivers. And it's amazing how I mean, if you showed me all the stats and didn't tell me which team was which, I would have told you 100 out of 100 times the Packers were on the winning side and the Chargers were on the losing side. This game went, I mean, exactly how I would have expected, except flip it. The Chargers came out and controlled the game, and the Packers could do absolutely nothing. The LaFleur came out and kind of said this was or no, it wasn't LaFleur, it was Aaron Rodgers said this is a humble pie, I believe it was his quote. And yeah, I mean, hopefully this is a wake-up call for the Packers, because there's too much talent in this team. There's too much ability for them to be, kind of falling apart. Hopefully this isn't the beginning of a fall apart second half of the season. Maybe this is just a road bump or a bump in the road. But I mean, the Chargers, they're 4-5. They still have a chance to make some noise. I don't necessarily believe in them. I don't think they have the talent around them to really, make a push for the playoffs. But I've been talking up these 4-4 teams, so I can't take it away from a 4-5 team. We'll see. I mean, if the Chargers play like this, yeah, they can beat a lot of teams in the NFL. All right, and last game of the week that we are going to talk about, the Sunday night game, Patriots at Ravens. And if you were anything like me, you were super, super pumped for this game. This team, I mean, these two teams, I mean, the history is, we know about that. Obviously, the Patriots have a long history of beating the Ravens, and the Ravens have, a couple games here and there beating the Patriots over the past 20 years. But, I mean, this game, we knew coming into it that, a running quarterback has always given the Patriots a little bit of a trouble. And, I mean, that he did not disappoint. Lamar Jackson is the Patriots' kryptonite. There was absolutely nothing Bill Belichick can do. And honestly, the team isn't built for it. The team is built for size. I mean, they're built to beat you up and physically dominate you. And if you have a guy who's like, all right, you can dominate all you want, I'm just going to run by you. You have that kind of guy, it's really going to be tough. And that's what Lamar did. I mean, this game, it looked like the Patriots were going to have a chance to come back in it. Like the Ravens go up quick, and the Patriots kind of get lucky. There's a muff punt. They get the ball down inside the 20 after punting it, and go and get a touchdown. And all of a sudden it's 17-13, and you're like, fuck, the Patriots are gonna do it again. They're gonna fucking come back. They figured out Lamar Jackson, and they're gonna do it. But no, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and I know I hate doing this. I hate putting it all on one guy, but that's what it was. I mean, yes, the scheme and all that is there to mirror Lamar Jackson's skills, but no, Lamar Jackson is just physically better than everybody else on the field. And his talents with his legs and his ability to threaten you on the ground and through the air, it's tough to stop. And the Patriots had no answer. They really didn't. And they mitigated the amount of the threat that the Ravens could bring, but it just wasn't enough. And I mean, the Ravens had this game circled. John Harbaugh, John Harbaugh wanted to come out here and destroy Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He wanted to come out here and prove that he had a really, really good team and that he could actually beat the Patriots, and he did. I mean, they were ready. You know that this was a big game for them, and of course it was for the Patriots too. But I mean, it showed the emotion was there, the passion was there, and Lamar Jackson, I mean, he was taunting the Patriots at one point, taunting them. You never see that. I don't think I've ever seen that. And then the only other thing I really want to talk about with this game, because we know Tom Brady, we know that defense. Nobody get it twisted. The Patriots defense is still great. The Patriots are going to be fine. They're going to win a lot of games. The Patriots do not want to face this team in the playoffs. I promise you, they do not want to see the Ravens in the playoffs, and they probably get lucky and miss them somehow. That's always how it goes. But the only other thing I wanted to talk about was the encroachment call. The Ravens are about to kick a field goal, and they were up 7-0. They're about to kick a field goal to go up to 10-0. This is the first touchdown. Excuse me. They drive down the field, and they're about to score a touchdown. They don't get it on third down. It's about 3rd and 3. Not enough to go for it. You could tell Harbaugh wanted to, but he didn't. And they line up to kick the field goal, and a Patriots defender jumps off sides. Encroachment? You never see that. Crazy. It's insane that I'm talking about one penalty from a Patriots player, and you're like, holy shit, there was a penalty that kept a drive alive? And the Patriots player did it? You just never see that, because that's how detailed that Bill Belichick is, and that's how incredibly important it is to minimize those little mistakes. And it's insane. It just absolutely is. And I just wanted to bring that up. So that's it. I mean, that's all I got for the games this week. Alright guys, that is it for the Week 9 reactions video. Please leave a like and subscribe. Comment if there's anything you think that I could be doing better. I'm always looking to improve. Please follow me on Twitter at Between the Pylons. Check out the podcast, Between the Pylons podcast, that I do with my buddy Jacob every week, where we talk college football and NFL. And of course, as you guys know, always try and get 1% better every day. Peace out, guys. See you next week.